Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here is going to be a review and demonstration on the SATA Minijet 4400B RP. I'll also be showing you guys how to fit the Atom 2, which is SATA's digital dock. It's the manometer that sits on the back of the gun and lets you know what pressure setting you're at. So obviously we're just getting into the box there. You can see that it had the holographic seal of approval on there so that we know we've got a genuine unopened box. Then we've got the Bible, so you can have a flick through that if you want. Should have a bit of a parts breakdown and all that kind of crap. I don't usually bother, to be honest. I know how to use the guns and yeah, it's pretty straightforward really. Got the pot. There's a few different options when you do get this gun, different fluid tip sizes, and you can also get the HVLP. You can also opt to get it without the pot, so that plastic pot that you see there, the reusable cleanable pot, you can decide to get it without that. Because these mini jets have the same style quick release pot system as the full size SATA, they're exactly the same size, so you'll be able to use the RPS on these if you like. If you've got a shop that's running RPS, you don't need to specifically get it with that pot. Personally, I would recommend it because you never know, 6 months, 12 months down the track, you might want to do a backyard job, or you might just leave and you might go to another shop where you don't have the RPS. So for an extra, I think it was around $10 or $20, something like that, to get the reusable pot. You can see the gun's obviously a pretty nice looking piece of kit, and it just about looks identical to the SATA Jet 4000B. Yeah, the handle and the whole thing, I think they've obviously just downscaled it to a smaller size and released it as a mini jet. One of the things that I did notice straight away when I got this was that the control knobs, the air adjustment and the fan adjustment knob, they just felt a little bit freer than they did on the SATA Jet 5000 that I've recently done a review on. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with that. And when I was adjusting the air on the back of it, I found it was jumping too high and then too low. But with this, it just seems like it's moving a lot easier. And look, this is the Atom 2. It's an unnecessary option. One of the annoying things that I found on the full-size SATA jets was that a lot of the time they come with the air swivel on the bottom of the gun itself. That was to obviously stop airlines from tangling up. I find it an unnecessary addition to the gun, and if you did decide to go and just chuck a standard regulator on the bottom of your gun, or an air cheater valve, it would end up just spinning around, and while you're painting it, to be extremely distracting and yeah, really quite frustrating. Now, I did hear from somebody recently after I made a mention to that you can get them without that swivel on the bottom of the gun. But yeah, I just thought I'd let you guys know that the mini jet doesn't come with that swivel. Now, I will say, as awesome as this Atom 2 is, it is woefully overpriced. You could go and probably get yourself about 10 of those ANI regulators or cheater valves, which won my competition. They've been quite popular, but these things are, you're looking at around 300 Australian dollars just for a manometer. And look, at the end of the day, it's partly made out of plastic, as you can see there. It doesn't really feel that strong in your hand. Like, you do sort of feel like you have to be a little bit gentle with it. I would hate to go and spend over $300 on something like this to then a year or two down the track have it either run out of batteries, find the batteries aren't exchangeable, or even just go and drop my gun by accident. Yes, it's probably unlikely that you will, but it does happen, and then find that the plastic parts have just gone and broken on me. You know, if you were using one of those cheap ANI regulators, you'd be like, well, I only spent $30 on it, big deal, I just get another one. But yeah, as much as I say, it is an absolutely awesome addition to the gun, but it is overpriced, just like most SATA things. Hey, let's not lie about it. SATA do charge quite a lot of money for their products. Now, the gun itself, you're looking at around $430, $450, and then to go and just get a manometer for, you know, around $300, it's over 50% of the price of the gun itself. And the truth is, SATA have gone and outpriced themselves from a massive portion of the market. But as far as I know, that's sort of their business model, and they want the top of the market. They're not really concerned about the rest. They do have some great guns and some very well-built tools, but are they the most cost-efficient or, you know, best bang for your buck on the market? Absolutely not. We're going to get into the spraying part of it soon, but first we'll put this Atom 2 dock on. Obviously, first start off by familiarizing yourself with the instructions. There's a little pamphlet that you probably saw there, and it just says the do's and don'ts when you're fitting it. So yeah, you get the tool that came with the gun, and then you just take that grub screw out, remove that, then slide the dock in, and it will only sort of sit in one way. You don't have to worry about sort of getting it on a bit of an angle, because there's a bit of a recession inside the back of that dock there, and then you'll be able to put that grub screw back in and it'll tighten itself back up, and off you go, ready to go and paint some shit. So at this point, I've still only used this gun for clear coat, and I've never actually had the privilege of having a dedicated clear coat minigun. I've always just sort of had a couple of miniguns, one for my fade out thinner and one for just spot repairs, color, clear coat, whatever I wanted to put through it. But now I've got this beautiful piece of kit. I'm just going to be looking after it like it is one of my prized spray guns, and I've just decided I'm just going to be using it solely for clear coat. It's not to say that you wouldn't be able to use it for base coat, because you absolutely can, but let's get some clear coat on these couple of panels first up. Now this day here was quite a warm day. It was about 35 degrees, and I really did think to myself, I would usually rather paint that rear bumper bar there, or put the clear coat on that rear bumper with a full-size gun. So I was sort of pushing it to its limits, because on the warmer days the paint's going to be drying so quickly, and you sort of probably best off having a full-size gun so you can get it on that little bit quicker, and it's not going to be drying as you're spraying and then forming dry spray on the sections that you've already painted. But the gun definitely did rise to the challenge, and I was quite impressed with how it performed on larger panels. I was quite impressed with the atom dock, how it goes into the points. You probably saw on the back there it said 2.65. It just makes you feel like you've got a lot of control over the air pressure that you're using, and it does move quite freely, so you're not having to force it and then going above your air pressure, and then on the way back you're going right below it. But we'll see how that holds up in time, and this is obviously going to be featuring in my top 8, I think it's going to be top 8 miniguns on the market. So I'm going to, as I've mentioned in the previous video when I did the SRI Pro Light, I'm going to be reviewing each gun on its own merits, and then I'll be doing a top 8 minigun video, and then I'll also be doing a few giveaways, because I've got quite a few of these guns, and I'm obviously not going to be able to use them all. I'm going to be keeping my favorites, obviously, so I probably will be keeping this one. I think I'll be keeping the LPH80, probably keep the Segola, and also the DeVilbiss SRI Pro Light. But you can see that for a minigun, it's got quite a decent sized fan on it. You wouldn't want it too much bigger, or else when you come to do your wheels and sort of intricate areas and around number plate holes when you're doing spot repairs and things like that, fog lights and all that, it'd probably just be a little bit too much. You'd then find you'd have to wind the fan in, but then what ends up happening then is that you've got a lot of paint coming out into a smaller area, and you can risk overloading the paint. But yeah, this gun's definitely held up to the task of clear coat on large areas. And yeah, as I said, this is literally the first time I've ever used it, and I had painted this yesterday, and I just wanted to get this video up to show you guys how good this gun is as much as anything. I felt like making a video, so I thought, why not do a review on their SATA Minijet. So yes, they do have a fairly small pot on it. It's probably not really going to be ideal to be painting large areas with it, but if you did decide that you wanted like home DIY use, you wanted one gun and you're mainly doing painting rims or spot repairs, but you still wanted something that you could paint a panel here or there with, it's going to be able to perform like that. But I would say if that is the situation you're in, this probably isn't the right gun for you, because the price tag, that's simply the only thing that would, for me in that position, keep me away from the gun. But hey, everybody's different. Some people just like the whole SATA thing, they just love the brand and they're happy to pay that little bit more for the products. Me personally, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit anymore these days like I used to. When I started making this YouTube channel, I'd always been DeVilbiss, everything. And making these videos has actually opened my eyes a little bit. I've had to approach videos unbiasedly and put myself in the buyer's position, because not everybody just does love the DeVilbiss. So yeah, now these days I really don't give a shit what brand it is anymore. If the gun performs, it gives me good quality finishes, and it's got a half decent build quality, I'll happily use it, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. But yeah, for me, the entry level minigun on the market at the moment really is the ANI R150, and that, going into this entire saga of all these miniguns, that has been my benchmark, because it does really outperform anything in its price bracket. You know, I've had those cheap Chinese crappy guns. I got one from DNA Paints in Melbourne, and it's the one that they sold for their virtual chrome, and the thing shut itself. It's still working, but the pot on it, you know, $130 for that, whereas you can get the ANI R150. I've had that for over a year, probably about the same time as the cheap Chinese one, and it's still going strong. Haven't had any issues with it. In saying that, I did have one of them. I dropped it on the bench actually, and it just completely stopped working. The air will not even come out of the gun anymore. So yeah, just be careful. And look, I did think to myself, well, if that had been a Devulbus or a SATA or an Iwata, it probably would have coped with that knock a bit better, and it would probably still be working today. So at the end of the day, you do get what you pay for. When you're paying for SATA, you are paying for quality tools. Any feedback is welcome by you guys. Now, if you guys think I focus too much on the price of a tool, well, then let me know. If you think I should just solely review them on the way they spray, you guys can figure out the price and then continue on from there. Like when I do my top 8 minigun video, should price be a factor? I personally think it should be, because anyone that, you know, price is not a factor to, well, you know, you're not living in the same world that I am anyway, because at the end of the day, everything you buy, price is a factor, but you really need to strike that balance between affordability and quality. So there's actually quite a few different fluid tip options when you do go to get one of these. You've got 0.3, 0.5, 0.8, 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 and 1.4, so you can go right from the tiny ones right up to the big ones. I've got the 1.2 on this, and I would say for most people it'd probably be the most suitable for, yeah, everyday refinishing, painting wheels, spot repairs and all that kind of thing. Is probably where you want to be at. So I've decided that I am going to be giving it quite some time before I do the top 8 or top 10 minigun reviews. I want to spend enough time with them to see their flaws, see their good sides, see the strong points of each gun, and then I will be doing a giveaway. So just at the end here, I'll give you guys a quick look at the medium-sized SATA jet pot that you can also get for this. So obviously you can just get a full-size SATA pot because the thread is exactly the same as the full-size model. So all the RPS pots will fit straight on. And we've got this midi-sized pot, so I find it probably a little bit more useful than that small pot, especially for doing larger areas, which this gun is definitely capable of doing, as you just saw before. So hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video, and be sure to go and check out my store. I've actually just received heaps of t-shirts, some singlets, some stubby coolers, and I've got a few more things on the way. So I've spent quite some time figuring out how to actually operate that back end of that store, so be sure to go and check it out and support the Gunmen. I've seen quite a few other people on YouTube asking quite a lot actually for money on Patreon or whatever it be, and it just doesn't seem to fit with me that well. YouTube does have a section on my channel. I don't really overly promote it, and I actually in a way don't even recommend donating that way. Just go to my shop, buy something, that way you get something in return. That's it for this one, Gunners. Now you've seen this video, get out there and paint some shit. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.